You're watching YCN, your local view. Program airtime is underwritten in part by Bar Harbor Bank and Trust. Looking to purchase your dream home, finance your business, or just find a better checking relationship? Our New Hampshire team is here to help you. We make award-winning banking happen every day. Contact us to see how we can help you. Member FDIC.
Well, welcome back. This is the May edition of Cougar Chronicle, and something's different.
Well, not only is it sunny outside, which is the whole thing, which is different for the Missouri kid, but you may notice we're filming in a new location. Welcome to the middle school library.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And sit behind us. Behind us in our backdrop is some drone equipment for our middle school drone team, which happens to be one of our guests.
One of our topics today.
Yeah, we're bringing that up. We've got some great guests today, and just a great opportunity. Although I really have to pick a bone with you because I am trying to figure out what the weather is in this state.
Oh, are you still whining about that, my friend?
It snowed
in April.
In the middle of April. We had inches of snow in the middle of April for no reason.
Well, we've had snow on May 18th, 2 inches at Colby Sawyer's graduation.
This was hidden from me when I interviewed. I would like to point that out.
Don't tell him. No one tell him.
I'm locked in. I'm not going anywhere. But some things I'm openly complaining about something I can do nothing about. There, it's off my. I feel better. Here we go. Now we feel better. We can talk about today's show. Phenomenal guest today.
Yes, great.
So excited. We have Maureen and McGinty and Lori Prwandowski, our
wonderful,
drone advisors, coming in to talk about the drone program. Andrea Castaldo, our current middle school assistant principal.
She is lovely.
Yep, she's going to be our new curriculum director. Cannot wait to get her started.
I know. And it was a big field. I will
tell you that we had close to 30 applicants for that position, and a number of those folks. Anytime you have those kind of openings, sometimes you see people wanting to make the move first time, don't really have administrative experience. But I will tell you, of the, I think it was 28 or 29 applicants, close to half of them had building level or higher leadership experience, which is a big deal. So she's going to be our newest director of curriculum.
And then my favorite guest, of course,
Mr. Michael Bessette, coming in talking to us, I believe, about inspiration.
I know, I love that. That'll be great. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. And then my favorite segment.
Ask the superintendent. It wouldn't be a show without it. We have a lot of fun there, but I'm really excited. The weather's warm. We've got great guests coming in talking about some really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it
always
really
fun
is.
to film and tape.
It is, and just really kind of again lift the veil.
Yes,
we say that every time.
Well, and being open and honest with what we have going on. There's a lot of great things that are happening. I can't tell that story enough, and what a great format and opportunity for us to be able to tell that.
And thank you so much for joining us on our journey.
Right.
So stick with us. It's a great show today. We'll see you in a bit.
On the Cougar Chronicle.
Welcome back to Cougar Chronicle. We have more fun before and after and during the show, so it's hard for us to stop.
It's hard to hate your job when you laugh.
That's very true.
Try to laugh every day.
And what a joy this has been. It is, it's the month of May. We've been doing this since November.
I've mentioned this a couple of times. The time has flown by.
Yeah, it really has.
I am shocked. I still vividly remember coming up to interview for the position.
Right.
The first time I brought the family up the Thanksgiving right after the interview and the offer happened. The first time we had our interview coming back through and just everything along the way. It really feels like, it's the weirdest feeling because part of me feels like it was yesterday.
Yes.
But then another part of me feels like I've been here for a really long time.
Yes, exactly.
And so I guess that's a good place to be.
Absolutely. And hey, speaking of being here for a very long time, we have two wonderful guests today. And you both have been. I was saying that
You're the only one of the two of us that can make that comment. I want to go on the record.
Yelled at.
Just remember.
I mean, really. So we have two wonderful guests, and one of whom taught me 25 years ago how to use the emerging technology at the time, which was a laptop.
We're very excited to have Maureen McGinty and Lori Prwandowski,
welcome, you
who
guys.
both do some amazing work with our kids at the middle school. Lori kind of expands past the middle school. Let her talk about that if she chooses. But really, the biggest thing I wanted to have them come in is, and I was so impressed, is our drone program. They are co-sponsors of the drone program.
So fun.
So we want to get them in. I know there's been previous segments, I think, on the Yankee Network, on the other shows going on.
And we'll do some more of those. But it's amazing what our students can do. So
100%.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here.
So talk about, as always, new guy coming in, what's the history? How did we get started? And then we'll kind of see where things lead from there. So how did what was the spark?
All right, so in January of 2023, we were doing some curriculum with CAST. And then that summer, August of 2023, we went to a professional development and we met Luann Cormier, who is in charge of the drone competition in this Northeast region. And so she helped us write a grant. And so we ended up, September of 2023, so it's been 2 school years. So we got the grant, and so we were able to purchase the equipment and we were able to purchase the drones, and we started with 16 kids. We had 8 females and 8 males, and we went to several competitions. Our drone team made it to the national finals, and we drove to West Virginia and we competed.
Oh, and by the way, while we're interviewing you, we're going to be looking at some footage of our students flying drones we took a couple of years ago.
This year is our 2nd year, so we know a lot more of what not to do and what to do. Right. So we had 24 students this year, and we expanded to 6 teams. So not as many drone competitions this year. It's really hard to find ways to participate in this region because somebody has to host the competition, and we actually hosted our own so that our kids could compete. So we've been busy.
Yeah, so you actually will then compete with other schools as well. Okay.
It's such I will tell you, I want to jump in because I had an opportunity. I was the voice of announcing for that competition, and it was so neat to watch because there's competitions and collaboration. So do me a favor, if you would, just talk about the competition, because I had so many questions, which we won't have enough time in this segment for that. But what does the competition entail? What are the skills? How does that work?
So flying probably is one of the easier skills, right? As they've been practicing, they become more comfortable with it. There's a great deal of focus on communication, as a team, in terms of team members supporting each other, coming up with strategies, because the bottom line with the competition is you're trying to earn as many points as you can for your team. And so they really have to work together, developing those strategies, working through it, making observations, and communicating that. So they each have their own competition logbook. Each team has their own competition logbook. So they are constantly reflecting and making note, right, of their progress with that, and some of the challenges. And I would say that is probably one of the areas that is most challenging, right? To kind of reflect on that, fine-tune it, and move forward with it.
That's a very advanced skill.
It is. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Being able to figure out their strategies and what they're doing right.
Well, when you think about the idea of reflection and looking at data and coming to a conclusion, and did it work? What did I learn? What am I going to do different? I mean, if there was ever a 21st century applicable skill, I've never heard of one better than what happens within there.
Right. During the competition, the judges will actually interview the students, and they will look at their notebook. So as Maureen said, it's not just about flying or coding. They're looking for how people are working together and working through their notebooks. So some of the awards are straight out, you had the highest score. Other awards are, we looked at your notebook, we looked at your interview, we watched how you interacted with other teams, because when you're there, the computer says, this team is flying together with that team during round 1. Round 2 is this and this. So you're flying with kids you don't know. Right. So you have to have the common language, you have to have the common expectations. You're trying to get as many points, so you need to make sure that you're doing your part, because this other team is counting on you to do that. So it's a huge piece that we work with the kids to understand all of those elements throughout a competition.
How did you two team up? How did that become
10 years ago, Lori was involved with the interview committee that interviewed me.
There we go.
And we have been working together ever since. It's wonderful.
It's such a good synergy.
In terms of,
Oh, yeah.
And that really filters down to the kids, right?
Well, that confidence, you see that connection. I don't know if you'd heard this story, but I remember watching at the competition one of our kids, because they were working with a high school team. And then one of the things, early on it was neat because it's like, what are you good at? What am I good at? As they decide who's going to kind of do what. And there was zero conversation. To talk about the leadership, one of our kids, not a very tall young man, walked up and looked at this high school kid who was very tall and said, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what are you going to do?
I love that.
Any questions? All right. And they were done. And I was like, God, like that's what we want to see out of our kids. It's just that confidence and that excitement. And it translated so well because and then afterwards, the high school kid was like, you're right. You were great at it.
Great. That's
I mean,
wonderful.
just, and it's all about common success.
Got it.
And that's, again, that collaboration piece, which again is a 21st century skill, our ability to do that.
Is it all after school, or when do they meet?
Yeah, it is after school. That's the most part of it, but that presents barriers for kids. So we try to have kids come up during flex, which is like a study hall time for them.
Okay.
So kids who have parents who could pick them up, they might stay for a short time after school because they can't stay all the way till late bus. Right. So we do a lot to try to open it up to as many people as possible within the confines of we have to do our regular work during the day.
Sure.
So it is mostly after school to practice.
I want to know, what are you flying? What are the kids, what kind of drones are they flying? Are they little? Are they big? Are they what are they like? Maureen, are they,
So the code drone, it's actually code drone EDU, and it does not have a camera. We do have some drones that were involved with the Take Flight program that do the teller drones, but this particular drone is for the competition, and it is set up to be able to code, so students can pilot that autonomously, right, as well as manual flight. So yeah, they're quite small, but they're maneuverable. They are indoor drones. It's not something you would take outdoors, right, with different air pressure or breeze. So it is all. And
the coding is part of the competition as well, right? The autonomous
it certainly
flight,
is.
which is really neat. When all of a sudden a kid hits that, I did watch one young lady. She pressed execute, and it went up and behind her, and it was just like, oh,
Well, isn't that amazing? Through the coding of the
you do everything right, think it's going to go well.
It's probably the most challenging piece of the competition. So the kids who bubble to the top to do that are the kids who have to have a lot of resilience, and really they have 5 minutes to tweak their code, because every time they show up at a competition, the competition field is in a different location. So there might be airflow that's impacting it, or the competition field might not be set up exactly how it's designed because of whatever. So it might be off by a couple centimeters, which is going to totally impact the code. So they have to really dig in. I mean, it's pretty easy to fly it manually, but thinking through the programming is a whole different skill.
And debugging, if you've got a problem somewhere, knowing where the problem is. I mean, it was.
You must have. It sounds like your mouth was.
I'm in awe, because anytime our kids are doing stuff that they get excited about, it's really fun to watch.
Sure.
But then knowing the complexity, because I have a drone myself that I bought when we were doing a athletic complex upgrade, and I didn't want to pay for the chief superintendent. I didn't want to pay for somebody, so I told my wife, it's for work, honey. And so I bought
He's out in the backyard with the kids.
chasing the dog, and with the neighbors. If I had, run it, then heard some weird noise around the
Mr.
corner.
Fortney again.
Run the drone high and try to see what's there. But having a little bit of experience flying a drone myself, knowing what gets involved and what you can and can't do with it, and also I've got a friend who's got a Kansas City drone company, and he does bridge inspections and building inspections with drones. And then the farming community that I came from, Precision, you've got president of our parent-teacher organization had bought these enormous drones. They're like 6 or 8.
Wow.
And motor, I mean, big things to spray fields and to survey. So this is, we can say it's great skills and things like that, the transferability of these skills
applicable.
are immediate.
Well, it's a good segue into a very important part of the competition is during the interview, they actually ask the students, how are drones used in the work world? So every single practice, we show a video, and we have the students write down things. So we show like videos of how they deliver food, but also we showed them one where it was one of those AED machines, and the drone it opened up and it had the pads, and the person was looking through the camera and telling them how to put it on. We show the search and rescue, we show the inspection, how drones do all the dirty work, all the unsafe things, all of that stuff. So the kids have to watch those and process and answer questions from the judges.
This is so layered. This isn't just like a little toy you take up in the air.
Right.
I remember taking a course on the ethics and morality and the psychology behind flying drones, right? People fly them for the military, fly them for farming purposes, for all kinds of. This is so layered, really. And it's not. I love the coding aspect. That's.
Well, knowing it's more than just, it's not out of the box.
Right.
It's having the understanding of that your decisions have consequences.
Right.
Which is, again, life skill.
Listen, we're getting the signal, but I just have to ask you a quick question. So when they're flying, does it take stick-to-itiveness? Does it take fortitude? Because they've got to develop some of, to tweak that code or to get that. Does it take a lot, Maureen? I mean,
it certainly does. I think we have found those that are most successful are coming in and they're not spending hours with it necessarily. They're spending, moments, but it's consecutive practice, right? You're developing that kind of memory muscle with it, right, over time. And just with that, they gain confidence. It all kind of tends to just enhance their, their ability to be able to work
so next fall, can they come back with some students?
Absolutely.
And we'll
I would love to see that.
I
would love to see that. That would
and
be a blast.
then maybe we'll go to a school board meeting with them and fly there too, because that would be wonderful to see.
Well, I think it's important because right now it's grant funded, and so we're quickly approaching a place where, transparently, the district will have to make a decision if they're going to pick it up and roll with it, which I can't understand why we wouldn't, but we definitely want to make sure that we're informing all those people. So when we do ask for funds, they go, oh yeah, I remember that really cool stuff with the kids.
Thank you for your work with our students.
Thank you, ladies, so much
and
for
Maureen,
being here.
10 years already. How did that pass?
I know, right?
Wow. Thank you both for all you do.
Thank you for having us.
Very much.
Appreciate it.
Wow.
I know.
It's a great segment.
We do I keep telling you this every time. We do so many really, really cool things here every day. And I am so lucky because, I'm such a lucky boy. I get to see all this stuff. I do. And be able to get the excitement and the spark of the kids and just the love and dedication that these teachers show our students in our everyday.
We're grateful, really grateful.
It's amazing. Thanks so much.
Well, we have a new, next guest has a lot of enthusiasm too. And she's brand new to us, a new hire.
Yes.
Right?
Andrea Castaldo, our new curriculum director. So
great.
she's, I don't know if you call her new, she's going to be in a new position.
Right, new position, I know. So I should have said that.
But I think saying that she's a recycle may not necessarily. So we'll avoid that. So maybe we'll not talk about that when she gets up here. Yeah.
But anyways, we have some good
It'll
stuff
be
coming
fun.
up.
I'm excited for this next conversation, and we'll see where we go with that.
Sounds good. Stick with us. We'll be back.
On the Cougar Chronicle.
Well, welcome back. We're so glad you decided to spend some time with us today.
Yes. What a great day. A new location.
I know.
Changing it up a little bit.
We're in the middle school, just so you know.
For the, everything else previously has been filmed in our SAU, which is a great location, but I feel like I'm in an amphitheater.
I do
It's so much space.
I really like it.
I'm so distracted too. Like there's so many cool things to look at. We're the middle school. This is my happy place.
I know.
This is worse than the month when we had April Ross in, where the food was sitting right in front of me, and it's like I'm not really sure that we had a guest that day, but I do remember the food, and so we go from there. But I'm very, very excited. Ms. Andrea Castaldo, hello, how are you?
Good,
So
how
glad
are
for her to
you?
be here. Is currently our middle school assistant principal.
Yes.
And July 1st is transitioning into a new role. So for people historically, we added for the 25-26 school year a director of curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Commonly they use the acronym, right? The CIA person.
Yeah, there we go.
So
That's a
she,
great
the
acronym.
keeper of the secrets.
Yeah.
But Andrea has been selected and approved to be our new director. Couldn't be more excited for that. So, and
Enthusiasm is, that's what you need, right?
well, and here's the thing is when this position came forward, they've been talking about this. Superintendent Winfred Fennenberg has been talking
Right.
with Michael Bessette for a number of years. So we finally had the conversation and said, okay, it's time to make this happen. And so then it's okay, great, you have this opening, now what? What are you looking for?
Right.
And there's we've got so many things that are happening throughout the district, and really the big charge of the person was, can they create a unified voice?
Well, that's huge when you have all these different elements, and I mean, you have to bring it all together.
Yes.
Is that?
And so looking at some of those things, and we're going to talk about you in front of you for a second, and we'll let her
Isn't
go.
that lovely?
We really want to make sure we're setting this up. So this is I'm just excited for this segment. But then it comes down to, what are you looking for in the person?
Okay.
What was important to us was building leadership experience, because you've got to be able to talk to principals and help them drive their mission, but also not so far removed that they forgot what it's like to be in the classroom. And transparently, we did a very different interview process. We had 28 or 29 applicants.
I heard that. It was a big field,
huge
right?
field. Narrowed that down, had a group of folks that then teachers and a principal, our HR director, came through and did a first round, and we narrowed the field down to 3 finalists. And then what we did is we took those 3 finalists and we set up a 4-hour block. And so it was the finalist, myself, and Michael Bessette, our assistant superintendent, and we literally did a competency-based final interview. It was live data. Let's talk about how do we problem solve.
Wow.
Do we get, how are we as teammates? How, can we press on you, or are you going to press back? Can you hold your own? As you know, Michael and I have pretty big personalities.
Right.
And so how did those things play forward? And through all of it, Andrea just showed herself head and shoulders above. So now we get to talk to you.
Say hello. No, but seriously, he has been so excited having you come in, and we're so
Very
happy
pumped.
for your new position.
Give us a quick rundown for somebody that's not met you, how you got into education and the journey that brings us here today.
Yeah, I always wanted to be an educator. I always had fun playing school with my brother growing up. My grandmother was a teacher. She graduated from college when it wasn't super common for women to graduate from college. So I went to UNH. I'm a Massachusetts native. Don't hold that against me.
No way.
But I went to UNH. I was involved in the ed program there. When I graduated, I actually spent some time working with kids on the autism spectrum down in Massachusetts. I moved home for a while, decided I really wanted to be in the classroom. That's really what I wanted to do. Went back, got my master's, got my teaching certification, moved back to New Hampshire, and I spent some time as a high school language arts teacher before coming to Kearsarge 7 years ago.
Oh,
in the assistant principal role.
Oh, you've been here for 7 years.
This is my 7th year. Yeah.
Wow, that time went quickly, didn't it?
6.5. I guess the end of 7th.
Yeah,
will be
but
in
still,
It counts. We'll round up here. So, but yeah, and 7 years as assistant principal here at the middle school.
So you've really had your, what's the expression, boots on the ground. You've been in the classroom, you've been in administration. So will that help?
Oh, it'll make a giant difference. And the thing about it is Andrea's work has been, here at the middle school, has been just pivotal as they advance the competency-based education piece, which is the real big driving force, is making sure that we've got that tight. And there are issues with things. We're battling report cards at different levels.
Yeah.
We're seeing a disparity, not necessarily to the detriment of kids, but the way that the elementary uses it versus how the middle school uses it for the high school, which is its own separate beast, because now we're talking about credits, and kids are worried about their future.
Right, applying to colleges.
How is this going to impact my scholarships?
Sure.
Can I get into Harvard? Can I get into UNH? Can I get into the military?
Right.
With what we have, or even a job what we have going on. So
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about some of the things you're most excited about with this role change.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I'm really excited to get into classrooms at the elementary and the high school and start developing those relationships with teachers that I haven't been able to spend a lot of time with. That's getting to see some of the different programs that we have in place and some of the different instructional methods that maybe I haven't been super used to at the secondary level is just really exciting. I also, we have a really cool opportunity now to really start getting greater consistency within our system that we've been building, and we have a strong foundation and lots of enthusiasm for competency-based education and kind of the shift in how we look at student learning. So it's an exciting time to be stepping into this new position.
And I would imagine to make those decisions, you're going to really have to become familiar with all the pluses and minuses, right? Yeah. And teacher communication to be able to communicate that, right?
Yeah.
Well, very much Andrea's position is very much a support role, but it's an accountability role. Because there's not to say people hide, but there's no escaping any of it. We're going to be in your classroom.
Right.
We're going to be providing support. We've got teachers that are desperate for those kind of feedback moments, and so we're really building a professional development structure with our leadership team that I think reflects that.
Yeah.
I would be remiss and not be me if I didn't ask you the opposite side of the coin. So we know what we're excited about. What gives you some anxiety? What are you looking at going, oh boy? Other than working with me, which I know creates,
See, I'm glad you asked that question, because to me it's an overwhelming position.
Yeah.
You have to take so many different elements, and with a competency-based, standards in education, that is a lot to integrate and a lot to bring together. Is that scary?
It is a little scary, and I think for me, one of the biggest challenges is just the geography of our district. So sometimes when we're talking about vertical and horizontal alignment of curriculum, getting all the third grade teachers in a room to try to work out what they're doing and what their plans are, that's going to be a challenge and require a lot of creativity on our part and facilitation with the building principals to try to make that happen and make time for that really good work, because we all get so busy when we have kids in the classroom. To be able to step away to work collaboratively is a really big challenge. So that's something I'm thinking of.
Always. Well, and just time. I mean, time. Having time. Time is the one thing that we battle trying to create.
Absolutely.
We're bound by the school day. We're bound by the collective bargaining agreement. We're bound by families and all these other things. And the fact that pulling somebody out of a classroom is time lost to do that.
Right.
And so,
it's so important, but it's also time lost. So that's hard. I give a tough job.
Yeah. And having somebody that can be on, in the classroom, in the buildings.
Right.
We have an office that we're going to be building an office for Andrea in the SAU. Although I really jokingly think that it's probably more of just a place to store your stuff.
Yeah, bookshelf.
Because you'll be right.
Yeah.
Because when we offer the positions, I don't expect to see you all the time.
Right.
I want you, the just need to know that you're alive, which is always a good thing. There's less paperwork involved with that.
Yeah.
What are you hoping? What's the message you want people to think about coming into working with you? Because it's a new role for the district. Yeah. You're stepping into a new area. So there's people that have spent time with you and those that haven't. What do you think it's important? What's an important message for you to get out there?
I'm just really excited. Please invite me to all the things that you have going on.
Oh, that's great. Yes.
I've kind of been able to join some meetings, and meeting with the math specialists next week. I'm going to a meeting at the high school this afternoon. Just trying to get as much information as I can. So if there's something cool going on, or if anybody has questions about anything, I really want to start digging in and getting to know everyone and seeing what's going on. So that's my big message. Please invite me to your classroom.
Well, sounds like communication is important.
Yeah, super important.
It's a big deal.
And those relationships are really key.
Again, relationships, you hear it all the time.
That's the whole show.
It's the broken, I don't want to call it a broken record, but it's a reoccurring theme. But it really could be, trust is our word of the year, and relationships is always, you can't have a relationship if you don't build trust. And I think we tie back into that. The technology, let's talk about technology here, because I know that's been a big battle.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking? How does technology incorporate with some of the curriculum work that you anticipate doing? Do you see any major battles? I know we've had one. We'll talk openly about that. There's been some grade card reporting concerns on how do we get some of that stuff done? Is it overcomable, do you think?
So you want to talk about like power school?
Yeah, we could bring it. Let's
Rip
lay
that
it out
Band-Aid
there.
right off?
Let's lay it out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think something we've really been committed to while we developed our system of competency-based education is developing a system that is best for student learning and promotes student learning, not developing a system that's going to fit cleanly into our existing software that we have. So that the biggest challenge is now we have this great philosophy and we have teachers providing feedback in these new and innovative ways with rubrics and all these things, but we don't have a clean way to report out on that for parents.
It's problematic.
It is problematic. And so we use PowerSchool. There's a lot of benefits to PowerSchool. It's a powerhouse of a database. It doesn't work so well with our non-traditional reporting on learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I guess the bigger challenge is the way it's, so the elementary schools are talking about, changing up their report cards and making them align more with the competencies that they've developed. The middle school and high school have started reporting out on competencies and learning targets this year. So the real challenge is going to be finding something that's going to be consistent K-12, appropriate for each grade
and
band.
that's the battle, isn't it? I mean, or not battle, but that's the key.
Well, and something that when we talk about the idea of appropriate, it's also something that's seamless. Because the system we have in place now is great for certain people.
Yeah.
But it is labor intensive
Super
for a
labor
lot of our
intensive for
teachers.
teachers.
And having to be mindful of that, because at the end of the day, obviously it's a commitment that the school board made and the district has a number of years ago. But if teachers aren't seeing it being beneficial for them and being more laborious, then we wind up not having the kind of success that we should.
Exactly, because they won't be able to report it out. Andrea, I have good news for you.
Yeah.
I'm getting the wrap-up signal.
Yes.
We could be here. We just got started.
She could have her own. She could have her own show.
Really,
and
really.
I wouldn't say that you won't see her on the Cougar Chronicle moving forward.
We'd love that.
It would not surprise me for her to have her own segment in the future.
That would be wonderful. We'd love that. Yes. Well, thank you, and congratulations on the new position.
Thank you so much.
You have your work cut out for you.
I do.
Yes, in a good way. But really, as you said, very enthusiastic.
She's got a lot of great energy, very intelligent, has got a lot of great skills, and also can stand her own in a room of big personalities. Which you have to. Which, I mean, we laugh about it, but it's true.
No comment.
I resemble that remark, so it's okay. We're okay, but we're excited to have her on the team, and I'm looking forward to the work that you're going to do in the upcoming years. And
we invite you, Andrew, to stay by. We're coming to one of our wonderful guests.
Yes.
Who we have.
Every episode, we always have Mr. Michael Bessette, our assistant superintendent. We're excited to see him and what he's going to talk about this year, this month, and it really has been a wonderful journey, and he really brings something different, a different flavor every time.
He really does. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a bit.
On the Cougar Chronicle.
Welcome back to Cougar Chronicle. Can you believe all that great information we got?
Oh my gosh, so excited. And from that conversation with Andrea, you can tell just what a great selection, what a great decision for the district.
Yes, positive.
Just her energy, the experience that she has with the district.
Yes.
I think that really having that person, and you know this from being in the classroom, having somebody full-time that really helps create that K-12, almost pre-K-12 voice and vision is going to make just the world of difference, and I can't wait for her to get started.
I really liked her, yeah.
I think the hardest part for me right now is I want to do so many things. It's like what you're getting for Christmas, and, seriously, and you want to kind of get rolling with it now, but she's also got a tremendous amount of work to do as assistant principal.
Well, you came in within days of when I met you. We formed this show, so we get very excited about it,
and we get rolling, and that's
she'll keep up.
It'll be good.
Wonderful.
You know what time it is?
Time, my favorite time.
So,
Yay.
second favorite time. I know the
Second
first is
favorite,
coming up
yes,
later, but
ask
this
the
is.
superintendent.
But again, we've got Mr. Michael Bessette, our assistant superintendent,
Happy
with us
May.
as always. Excited to see him in his spring colors.
I know, he's showing us up.
Well, you know, that it's warm outside when we start to lose the vest. So hopefully we have that. Although I will like to talk about the very late April snow that was not told about.
Oh, it was wonderful, wasn't it?
You talked about black fly season, you've talked about mud season, but you did not talk about the blizzard that shows up in the middle of April.
It was fun. I bet the kids loved it.
Well, everything's all relative as we go to that. So,
Give me the look, Michael. We better get off that topic, right?
I just need, the warm weather is upon us, and I'm
Yes,
very,
you're happy.
very excited. So, as always, glad to have you back.
Good to be here.
Appreciate that. And this week, or this month actually, you've got a fun topic as always. I think our last few shows have been a little bit different from what
Yes,
we
they
kind of
have been.
started.
Yes.
So as we make that evolution, and so I'm gonna give him the floor.
Yeah. Welcome.
Well, I was thinking about it. It's May. It's that season where we're kind of moving into the summer, or we're closing out a school year. But it's also, May tends to be a lot of celebrations. You have graduations
Yes.
for the colleges and university systems and such. And I was thinking about what could be a good topic. And I thought, how about inspiring teachers? And taking just a couple of minutes. You were a former teacher. I'm sure you were inspiring. But since this is my 10 minutes of fame, or whatever it happens to be, I wanted to just spend a second thinking a little bit about an inspiring teacher that I had.
Oh, tell us.
Talk a
That's
little bit.
exciting,
And maybe
yes.
it'll trigger some thoughts about some of the incredible teachers that we have in our district, right? But for me, what goes into the decision about who was an inspiring teacher? I don't even have to think twice about this. And I was very lucky early in my career when I first started teaching. I was actually nominated and received the New York State Teacher of the Year award. And when I did, but as a result of that reward, I got the opportunity to self-select a teacher that I could take with me to Washington, D.C. To go to the president and go to the White House, and we had a dinner.
Oh
and she
my
was
gosh,
able
we have to see
attend
pictures,
with
by
me,
the way.
Right?
I will have to see if I
It
can
was
convince
a long
him to
time
bring
ago
him.
in a far, far away place.
Convincing him to find him,
But I picked an incredible teacher. She was a veteran. Unfortunately, she's not with us anymore. We lost her a few years ago. Her name was Carolyn Silsby, and she was in Montpelier. She was my AP biology teacher, believe it or not, in high school. And the thing that I remember most about Carolyn is the thing that I think that endears me to teaching itself, which is she was the most charismatic teacher I've ever encountered in my lifetime.
That's so.
She oozed charisma, and on top of all that charisma was the icing on her content knowledge cake. She knew her subject inside and out, and she inspired every single learner in that classroom to want to go on and do something relative to biology, AP biology, whatever it was going to be. I would tell you the reason I went into being a science teacher was Carolyn Silsby.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I can remember her doing the DNA square dance. Yeah.
Tell us about that. That's awesome.
DNA square. So you have to imagine, you're a bunch of, in 1980.
Yeah, right. Thing.
As a high school senior, I'm sitting in a room and we're talking about DNA, and so you have adenine, guanine, cytosine, AGT, and thymine. So I can still remember it to this day, right? So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I remember she was about 5 feet tall, and she weighed less than 100 pounds. She was this tiny little teacher, silver hair, big glasses on the front of her, right? And she would jump up onto this table. She would stand, literally, the lab tables, the black ones. She would stand on it, and she would say, "Okay, everybody, it's time to do the DNA square dance. Adenine, thymine, gathered around, cytosine, guanine, coming around. Link with your partners," right? And she's having all of us dancing around a square dance in the classroom, linking up with our partners so that we would remember the chain of events that were sequencing, elements of DNA.
And you did.
And we did, and I still remember it to this day, and it was a long time ago. I mean, we're talking almost 40 years.
Before Howard Gardner's time, right? We were all taught ways of learning.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that made you remember, because
Yeah,
it wasn't
sure
just
did.
preached at you.
And that charisma, that warmth, I mean, she had this sense of humor about her, that was key to teaching. She could see through frustration and help to calm you down. And we want to talk about a dedicated person to education. Think about this. In Montpelier at the time, we had 113, 114 kids in the graduating class. So we were a small school, similar kind of in nature to the one we have here. And we didn't have enough kids or volunteers or coaches to coach all the seasons, yet she was so willing. And so we had no cheerleading squad that year. I played football that year, right? And so we had no cheerleading squad. But Carolyn wasn't going to let that happen. She wanted to have cheerleading. She wanted the sports teams to do it, for basketball, for whatever it was that year. But for football that year, she went out and she gathered a bunch of teachers, all of whom were well post 50 years old.
Okay, I love this.
And they all got out their poodle skirt style, skirts, and the little button-down sweater. Right?
Everyone laugh.
She made Sports Illustrated that year in 1980. No, if you go back in time and you look it up,
I'm going to look it up.
Actually was in Sports Illustrated as a teacher who was so dedicated to her school and wanted her kids to find that they were invested in what they were doing, that she led a cheerleading squad for the football team that year.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
Isn't that it's an
Well,
incredible
it just shows you the dedication.
Yes, absolutely.
Those are the stories that sometimes we forget about the power of impact.
Exactly. I know.
And
How did she feel when you asked her, I just have to know, to go to Washington with you?
I wasn't in the room at the time because I actually had to write her a letter to make the request.
Wow.
But when she came with me to Washington, she pulled me aside and we had a little chat. And I'm going to keep the conversation between the two of us from my own history.
Sure,
but I think she was very proud. Not as much as I was proud of her because I know she touched the future. She touched those lives. She is the Krista McAuliffe of my generation, right, in terms of my school experience. Sure. And, when I think about our teachers here, we have so many. I mean, we're in the middle school right now. I'm thinking of some amazing teachers that I've seen who are dedicated to kids and do some things, right here, even in science, other subjects as well. When John and I get a chance to walk around and see the investment that our communities put into having high-quality teachers in classrooms, I'm here to tell you there are some really, really amazing teachers who want to do amazing things with kids. And unfortunately, the world around us wants to always focus on the negative things that exist in education in our state, or, all these things that are politicized or whatever. I'm going to tell you right now, dedication to kids and teaching is alive and well in classrooms. And they love those kids, and they love to create those engaging moments, and they're high quality people with really great content and a nice smattering of charisma over the top of it. And you can't ask for more than that. So I'm very proud to remember Carolyn. I try very hard to think about her when I work with kids and I teach, to try to emulate some of the things that she did. And I found a lot of success in doing that. So thank you, Carolyn, for that.
What a legacy.
So I appreciate that.
It's wonderful, Michael.
The impact that these adults have on our kids' lives and have on people's lives, outstanding. I'm sure. Who's yours?
Oh, Mrs. Valadez, 7th grade English, who taught me how to lose my stutter, right? Who taught me how to reach out to other friends, and who taught me proper grammar. I mean, she was amazing, and so we all have that. How about you?
So, I'm going to be campy on one, and we joke about my dad. My father's is a big quote guy, and the Rick Fortneyisms abound at the SAU and the things that we do. But I'd be remiss to tell you that probably the greatest teacher that I had was not my mother, who's still around, big on education. Reading was fundamental.
Yes.
How to think. She grew up in the coal mines of Kentucky in a time period where young ladies didn't have a lot of choices.
Right.
Wickedly smart, and the ability to connect with people. I get my personality, I will tell you, in a lot of ways from her. She could get a rock to have a conversation with her. And then when it comes to the inspirational teacher, was actually somebody that never taught me, but was a coach of mine, a guy named Stan Duda. And Stan was a special ed teacher and worked with some of the most profoundly needy and demanding kids at my high school. But 100% showed me the value of relationships. And by loving people and by connecting with them. And the best part about him, I think we used to jokingly laugh, is when he was my wrestling coach, and I'd be in the middle of a match and he would call my name, and he wouldn't stop calling and coach you until you made eye contact. Because in a lot of it, he told me, he said, I need you to be able to see through the noise to stay focused.
Wow, okay.
And so those things that go through.
It's wonderful.
But I think we've all been blessed because, if you go through those places and come up with multiple names, and that's the thing that is so cool about our job now, is we get to see all the really neat stuff that happened in a classroom every single day.
And you foster that. I mean, we all said relationships, right, as part of our favorites. And that's what you both do with your staff and students and community.
Well, because we want to understand that we have, our kids deserve to be loved. And I think that some people say it gets overused. I think it gets underused. We need our kids to feel safe, because when they feel safe, they're going to learn. And when they learn, they can create. And then, you know, the kid that you're sitting next to that we have conversations with might be the next New York State Teacher of the Year, or the Chris McAuliffe Award winner, or the next president, or the next person that cures whatever infectious disease. And so we don't, that's the beauty of education, is we don't know the potential and the possibility of what our kids are capable of becoming.
Okay, we need to stop now because you're both making me serious. It's ridiculous. But seriously, it's true though, and that really is, you know, we've gotten so caught up in policy this year and a lot of different things that are really important. But, you know, the bottom line
is, I was over at Colby Sawyer the other day, and I was with a former teacher here who's teaching education classes. And I spent an hour with, I'd say 10 or so Colby students who have that same fire, that same passion. And if we do nothing else as administrators, we need to start sending the narrative out to these pre-service teachers that you're getting into something that has the right foundation for it.
It's true.
That decision isn't about money. It's not. You're not going to get rich doing this job. But I will tell you this: you are going to inspire somebody else, and
it's
that
impactful.
it's huge.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh my goodness! So that's a great message. And I'm thinking of all the Kearsarge teachers. It's rolling through my head, past, present. You know, it's a district filled with them.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Well, Michael, thank you as always. This was a great segment. Thank you. It really, so nice to hear those personal stories.
And we need to have those moments where we can kind of lean into the emotional part of things. I mean, as we do a lot of our work, we spend a lot of time talking about the nuts and bolts and the whats, but really even past the why, but getting into that connection.
It's true.
And what makes a difference. And it's just awe-inspiring, the number of high-quality adults that we have working with our kids every single day.
And you get to see that every day. And as much as I love both of you and you, I love the next segment coming up.
Your favorite segment?
Michael, I get to torture him just a little bit. You know, he doesn't know what's coming.
Comes with the jacket.
And the pen. I get all the fun things that go with that.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
We're grateful.
Ask the Superintendent's next, so stick around and watch your buddy here in the hot seat. Stay with us right here in our show,
The Cougar Chronicle.
Welcome back to Cougar Chronicle. It's my favorite time of the show.
The Ask the Superintendent segment.
Absolutely. So
I was hoping you would be inspired to not ask me, but not so much.
Never. Well, I have to tell you, be a little selfish here. So the year was 2009, and my son was graduating from Kearsarge High School, and the superintendent at the time, Jerry Frew, approached me about, do you want the kinders to sing patriotic songs to the high school? And I said, oh, what a great opportunity. So over the years, this wonderful tradition has continued at graduation. And oftentimes I get credit. It was not me. Superintendent Frew came up with the idea, and it has continued. And like Mr. Bessette, Michael made me. It makes me teary every time. I think about it. It was the highlight.
I did have the opportunity last year to drive up. We got the family moved in, so I had a chance to stay and watch graduation. And just what a production!
Wonderful. It is a production. It really was. It really was. So anyway, that was just a joy, and it made me think about graduation. I wanted to know, you know, here you're talking about your mother earlier, and she was your favorite teacher, and how much she taught you.
Yes.
So everyone's making me tear this show. Why not continue, right? What's the message you had for our graduates?
Oh man, this is a good one. Yeah. So I think every year when we talk about things, I I really try to focus, honestly, that the graduation is not about my messaging as much as it is about getting people through the pageantry of the day. And for speaking directly to the graduates, please remember that this day is really not about you either. I mean, this day is about the parents. It's really about celebrating and grandparents and guardians. And no matter what your home situation is, it's an opportunity for the people that care about you tremendously to really celebrate your milestone in your life. What a great opportunity for somebody to do those things. And how do we lean that in? And so I will tell you that my graduation message changes up every year. A lot of it depends on the graduating class and the connections that I have, or as I get to know the seniors better and got to work on some of those things. But it really comes down to the idea of just talking about the great big beautiful opportunity that you have in front of you and the choices that you'll have to make, and you're going to make mistakes, and I hope you lean into those mistakes and see them as learning opportunities, and I don't want to give up too much of it because we still have that going on.
That's right, exactly.
But I will tell you that the biggest piece that when we talk about that is always remember I had an administrator tell me one time, they're not there to see you, they're there to see their kid on the stage, and so you remember those things and get through. But if we're going to have a captive audience, which I'll always take advantage of that, then the big thing is that don't see this as a chapter closing, but yet the opening of a new book.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And the message that this is about your family.
Yes.
Regardless of what that family looks like. Yeah.
And it doesn't, because not everything is traditional. You might not have a blood relation, but there is somebody there that wants to be there to celebrate your accomplishment, and let them.
Yes.
Let them celebrate that.
It's a good message. Yeah, thank you. And that is a thank you to the superintendent. It's a great message. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. It's been a great show today, hasn't it?
I told you, for the new location, we're at the middle school.
I love it, John.
We'll be here for a couple of episodes to try to set things up. I think it's important to try to rotate things up as we go in. Too. Especially, there will be more conversations in different locations as we talk about facility studies and what does that look like, and we're getting started in budget season, all the fun that comes with that, and go from there. But anytime we can highlight and showcase other places other than the SEU, which we always have to be out and about. It's important to be doing different things.
So glad to be here. And I'll see you at the next school board meeting too. Join me. I go on Zoom, right?
Yes, you can do that.
So you can go in person and Zoom, and always open.
The schedules are always there. We always want to encourage our stakeholders and our community members to be part of that process. It's so very important to hear their voice.
It's wonderful.
And anytime when we can facilitate those things, we look forward to it. So it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much,
Thank you for a good show. So we'll see everyone in June.
On the first Thursday of the month.
Friday.
And Friday of each month. Exactly. We love that when that comes out. Those are my favorite days of the year. So we'll go from there.
So we'll see you here on the Cougar Chronicle.
Thanks so much.
Welcome back to Your Yankee Chronicle. I'm Abby Peel, your host. The Kearsarge Regional Middle School was one of 4 rural schools selected to participate in a 2-year pilot called Take Flight to promote STEM lessons to students. Drones were intentionally selected as the tool because they're engaging and relevant to many careers. Beginning in January of 2023, 18 students participated in lessons created to promote STEM to all students, but with a particular focus on engaging girls. KRMS is the proud recipient of a Robotics Education Development Program grant from the New Hampshire Department of Education. Recently, our Laura James got to visit the workshop at the school.
Thanks so much, Abby. You are really keeping up with technology. Tell us why we're here and what we're doing today.
So last year, Chris Garrity, who's a assistant principal at the high school, had reached out to this company called CAST. They do Universal Design for Learning, which is firm goals, flexible means, like having students not have barriers to their learning. And he was just looking for some samples of things to do, and the person said, you should apply for this drone program, and he sent me the information. And so what they were looking for were schools in rural New Hampshire that would promote STEM, specifically drones, to all students, but with the caveat of females, getting them more interested at the middle school level in STEM careers.
When I was a student in middle school and high school, there was a traditional one way of learning and one way of teaching. And if you didn't fit into that little box, then you were often felt less than, because we all think differently about math, language, art, science, social studies. And I was one of those ladies. And so UDL is what we refer to it. UDL, Universal Design for Learning, is what we have adopted, and we are using it across the district. And it is teaching students how they best learn in their own learning style.
You know, we just did interviews about competency-based education, and that's really what Kearsarge is using. This must tie in, right, Mrs. Prwandowski?
It does. So what we're looking for students to do is understand science principles and math principles, but applying it using the drone. So how much weight can it carry? Where does it have to go? How do you cover this field? And so the kids get to apply it right away. And then they find out they actually don't know the math or the science behind it until they try to apply it. And that allows them to kind of go back and think about their actual book work or their study works, because they get to apply it in something that's really engaging and really innovative.
You know, and I keep looking to my left because we have two wonderful 8th graders with us who've been doing this now for a year. It looks like a mini little helicopter. Tell us about it.
So this is one of the drones that we've been working with for the past year now, and we've learned about airspace and how to control them really well. Some of us have learned to flip them over and do really cool tricks with them.
Now, we're in a relatively small space. Is it hard to maneuver them here?
It definitely is, but once you get enough practice with maneuvering them with the toggles, it will get easier.
So you're working with the drone as well. So when you have to maneuver these around the room, how is that done?
Well, I found when we started, we were in this smaller space, so I was able to get an idea for moving around especially with these poles in the way. And then eventually we moved out into the bigger library out there, and everything got a lot easier. So first you want to take the actual drone, and on the bottom there's this little kind of gel plastic power button, and you want to hold that down until it turns red. And you'll see everything kind of lights up. So you set the drone far enough away from you that you won't get attacked.
When you fly, how are you thinking about what's below you? What are you thinking as you are the drone pilot?
While I'm flying the drone, I usually am thinking about what's in front of it and which way it's turning, because if the drone is facing you and you pull the joystick away from you, it will come towards you, which wouldn't exactly be good. But when you're trying to go through a bunch of things that are like near the ground and like chairs that are out in the library, you will eventually like be able to like zigzag around them, go under them, over them.
Go under them. Mm-hmm. That's impressive. Wow, I'm looking at this pole thing. Wow, that would be quite the obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
So.
As part of the curriculum, what we were charged to do was let the students see career opportunities, so there were specific tasks.
So at one point we tied paper lungs to the drones. We were delivering them to hospitals for transplants and stuff like that.
Yeah, drones are already doing that. They've already done that. And so the students watched a video about it, and then we try to simulate what it would take for talent and skill to learn to do that as a career.
So absolute goosebumps. I could picture this flooded area, and you were really flying right to the rooftops.
Yes, could be very stressful in real life situations.
Yeah, really important. And Jack, airspace, right? Airspace. You were in each other's airspace.
Yes, airspace was a big thing last year. where we specified that one of us would fly in a lower airspace and one in a higher so that we could never hit each other.
Thank you, Abby. This has been awesome. Back to you.
Wow, a great way to learn.
The Lake Sunapee region is one of the few communities in the country where you can ski year-round. During the summer season, the lake provides water skiing, fishing, swimming, and boating. During the winter, Mount Sunapee Resort, located at the south end of the lake, is one of the most popular ski and snowboard destinations in New Hampshire. The views of Lake Sunapee from the trails in Sun Bowl are spectacular. For more information about visiting our beautiful area, contact the Lake Sunapee Region Chamber of Commerce.
When you take your car in for an oil change, a good mechanic will also take care of other routine maintenance to make sure your car runs safely and efficiently. Protecting your health isn't much different. When you get a COVID-19 vaccine, it's important to make sure you're also protected from other serious but preventable diseases. It's easy and convenient to get other routine vaccines at the same time as a COVID-19 vaccine. So make sure you ask a healthcare professional about other vaccines you may need to maintain your health.
The American Red Cross blood supply is at historically low levels this winter, and we're facing a dangerous situation. Hospitals and patients are counting on donors to get the blood they need. Make a life-saving appointment today. Visit redcrossblood.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
You're watching YCN, your local view. Program airtime is underwritten in part by Bar Harbor Bank and Trust. Looking to purchase your dream home, finance your business, or just find a better checking relationship? Our New Hampshire team is here to help you. We make award-winning banking happen every day. Contact us to see how we can help you. Member FDIC.